I am a high school dropout. And then in my early 30s, my father passed away. Until that point in time, I felt like my father was the only person who believed in me. I was going to have to take his belief and make it my own. My afterlife became, I am completely changing everything. So many females have this boss ass story that gets them here, but then they wrap themselves in the, now I'm an imposter in the business area and stuck and looking what everyone else is doing. God, I mean, like I'm the high school dropout that ended up graduating from USC. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I went to running marathons. I've done so many different things that are the complete opposite of what I ever thought I could do.
Hey there, fellow rebels. Welcome to #ActuallyICan, the podcast where we say a hearty hell yes to designing life on our own terms. I'm Katie Ripp, a lifestyle coach, business mentor, and serial entrepreneur, here to guide you through the wild ride of defying what society expects of us and embracing our authenticity. On this show, we dive deep into taboo topics like death, money, spirituality, entrepreneurship, unapologetic self-care, and personal development, all while swearing and laughing along the way. Expect down and dirty conversations, plenty of humor, and a whole lot of exploration, leaving you feeling empowered to be your truest self. Whether you're craving a good laugh, seeking unconventional self-care tips, or simply looking for some camaraderie, you've come to the right place. We only get this one short life, so buckle up and let's design yours on our own terms. Ready to dive in? Let's go! Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having
Welcome
me.
to #ActuallyICan. Melissa, I would just love to have you start with your story. You've got kind of an amazing story and an amazing Actually I Can moment. So I would love to hear how you got to where you are, but that always starts with where we've been.
Mm-hmm. Yes. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to have this whole entire conversation because we're kind of both no holds barred and willing to share everything. I am a high school dropout. I dropped out at the age of 16.
I mean, I love that because I almost didn't graduate. So to hear other people say that out loud, I still have nightmares. I almost did not graduate. I had to take a correspondence class to even walk. So,
oh yeah, I missed, I think it was 66 days of my junior year in high school. I was
from skipping school.
Oh my God.
Oh yes. My mother got a truancy ticket. We are the same.
I was such a naughty, naughty girl. So my high school counselor called in my mom for an appointment and said, you need to take your daughter out of school. You need to just pull her out immediately. She's smart as fuck, but she's not thriving here. So I dropped out of high school at the age of 16, went to the community college during my senior year of high school, dropped out there.
Mm-hmm. Same.
I wasn't ready to be in the regimented school system at that point in time. And I had really struggled with being wild, but also both of my parents are 100% Portuguese. And I felt like I had to kind of adhere to this specific standard that they had for me. This is what I felt at that point in time. Now I can see that it was self-imposed. So because of that, I always struggled with fitting in. And what I realized later is that it wasn't struggling with fitting in. It was, I was meant to lead, right? But that time, I just trying to fit in. And it ended up being me dropping out of high school, me dropping out of community college, me getting a couple of comfortable jobs, very comfortable jobs, talking about a decade here.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my early 30s, my father passed away. And so, God, I was 34 and he was living in Portugal at the time. Both of my parents had retired and gone back to Portugal, and he had a brain aneurysm and it just went right away. And so that was one of the hardest things for me personally, because until that point in time, I felt like my father was the only person who believed in me. And what I realized was that I was going to have to take his belief and make it my own. I always say his last breath in life is my first breath back in life.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I love to hear that. I also love to hear that people talk about it. I lost my father-in-law when I was 38, and it was before he died and after he died. There's a very clear line of my life before and my life after.
Completely. So after my father passed away, my afterlife became, I am completely changing everything. So I went back to community college, graduated with honors, got my 4-year degree in Connecticut, graduated Phi Alpha, got accepted into the University of Southern California, went to San Diego from Connecticut, which is where I was living, and ended up graduating with my master's from the University of Southern California, being a dropout 17 years after.
Yeah, I was going to say at 34, you started that? Never too late.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I'm 46 now, and it was my second half of life, right? Like, so that happened. The University of Southern California happened. I was in San Diego during my last semester of graduate school. I took a coaching and consultation course, and that kind of opened up the trajectory and shifted everything. I was going to become a therapist. Instead, I opened up my coaching business, and immediately in 2016, I started writing my book called Little Miss Perfect. And it was just like a compilation of blogs and stories at that point. And I couldn't get my shit together to like actually turn it into a book, And then COVID happened. And then I picked it up off the shelf and was like, we're doing this. We're putting it all back together. And it was 4 years later. And I had grown so much because really, like, your coaching business, you're opening up your own business, pushes you into levels that you will, like, opens you up in so many different ways. So the book changed, and I was able to tap into secrets within my life that I had yet to share with other people. So I was a high school dropout. I had gone through this whole entire experience, but I had also kind of like blacked out and suffocated like my 20s. Oh, yeah. That whole decade where I really didn't feel good enough, and I was a mirror for everything. And so I was in a relationship that was very abusive, and I'm a domestic violence survivor. I'm an attempted murder survivor. And I end up sharing all of this within my book for the first time ever in my whole entire life. On a scale of 1 to 10, I had shared probably like up to 6, but I didn't share the 6 to 10. And I shared it all within my book. And I wrote my book, and I gave it to my mom, and I gave it to my aunts. And I was like, just call me when you're done.
Oh my God.
I shit you not. Like, I hadn't shared all of those pieces of me. And if I had wrote the book when I first graduated from school, it wouldn't have been that book because I wasn't ready to share all of that.
Yeah. Timing is everything, right?
Yeah. So I was able to write that, and that ended up becoming such a big piece of my story and has helped so many other people beyond myself within my family and others as well.
I am so curious. Well, one, thank God you're still here.
Yeah.
Right. But the 6 to 10, I love that 6 to 10 because I'm a firm believer now, not necessarily in my 20s and 30s, but that the obstacle is our way. Right? Like when we share to the nth degree of the shit that like really has the shame around it, has the guilt around it, has the I'm the only one in this position. When we share that, we get to open up somebody else's life. And I don't know that you ever know the impact of that until you do something like that, right? Until you have a platform like a book or a podcast or just some place for you to share about yourself so that you can give somebody else the safety to do that. Was that a motivating factor for you, or is that something that you saw like on the other end after you did it?
When my father passed away, that really was the trigger, like the catalyst for me that made me realize, like, holy crap, you're such an asshole. Like, you're such an asshole. Like, you really are. You have so much power and so much gifts within you that you can help other people. And you're just standing in your own way. And so going through school, like, I got my master's in social work. And they put you through the rigmarole of like, I've worked with the impoverished, I've worked with trauma survivors, homeless, adolescent children who were just like me. I shared a story with you about that guidance counselor. I share this in my book. I ended up being in the room with that guidance counselor and a student that I was advocating on behalf of who was just like me and five other like people in the town and teachers. And he pulled me out after that and was like, I told you, I knew that you had so much within you.
I mean, that kind of stuff just comes so far full circle. One of the things you said, I always call it like sitting in your own dirty diaper. We are capable fucking women. Now we can take off our own dirty diaper, right? Like we've got shit from our past and I understand that. But at one point or another, we have to take responsibility. It sounds like your dad's death, like really pushed you in that way. Did you know it at the time? Like, was there a light bulb? Like, holy shit, I need to do this like right this second. Like, can you put your finger on it? Or was it a culmination of going back to school and...
It was maybe like 6 months of anger.
Okay.
And then it was just like once like, okay, this is it. You're done. Like, this is done. Like my dad held me on such a pedestal and I had never really felt that much love, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I was really, really angry. And then eventually I got to the point of like, you got to give it to yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a hard lesson from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think gave it to you?
Oof. I don't know. I didn't think it was just years of not having it for so long. And then finally it was like, okay, you got to start. So it was one foot in front of the other, going back to school, learning through different courses that I wasn't taking care of myself. I'm the high school dropout that ended up graduating from USC. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I went to running marathons. I've done so many different things that are the complete opposite of what I ever thought I could do. You know, like I'm the attempted murder survivor who was never good enough, who wrote a best-selling book and now has a business and works with clients all over the world. Like,
and people look at that and they're like, okay, high school dropout to coach, author, survivor, all of these things, except that there were years at one foot in front of the other. These are not just like, hey, we just turned the page and all of a sudden we have all these things. What gave you the momentum or literally the one foot in front of the other? At some point you had to have picked up a phone and called the community college and said, how can I start?
I don't even really remember, to be honest with you. And so it's crazy because I was a failure. I was like, there's no such thing as a failure, but if you put quotes around it, that's what I was. That's what completely, I had failed everything I had ever done. It was my decision that I wasn't going to be that failure anymore. Going back and actually walking into the community college in my lower 30s at that point in time was like when it started again. And it just happened, right? Like it just happened. My level of commitment had finally changed and my like give a fuck meter had like completely gone. Like, like it was no longer like, I don't care what somebody thinks of me. Like, I know I have it in me. Now when somebody looks at me and they're like, I don't know if you can do that. I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? You don't know if I can do it. I know I can do it.
Actually,
like, there's one thing I
can and watch me.
Yeah. I
used to be like, hey, fucking watch me, right? Like, of course I can do this. Like, hashtag actually I can. It used to come from a real place of like, fuck you. Now it comes from a place of like, I'm just so curious to see if I can do that because I probably can.
Mm-hmm. You can.
Yeah. Definitely. And there's lots of things I can do, lots of things that I shouldn't do. Right now you are specializing in women and specializing in coaching women to like get to a new place, right? Really to step into their CEO power. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Increasing their visibility and really. So we're in an interesting time in the coaching world. Right? Like, 2020 happened. So many people kind of dip their feet into it. And so many women have overcome something and they have a story similar to mine or, their own that is just as strong and freaking powerful. So they have this resilience in life, but they don't have resilience in business. Mm-hmm. And the way that men and women operate in business is completely different. Like if a man fails at something, he's going to get up the next day and he's going to go walk back in that office and put the $10,000 down and go right for it. That woman is going to be like, What did I do? Oh my
Yeah.
God, how many?
Yeah. We were just talking about this is like females and males are just different in business. And the sooner we recognize that and the sooner we get into a place where we're actually just doing it differently and we're not looking to our husbands and we're not looking to the male banker and we're not looking to the people that do not have the life that we want or that we're never going to have. I'm never going to go to work and not think about my kids. My husband does that every day. And not a knock on my husband. It's just the roles that we have. We've created these roles for ourselves and it's fine, but I'm not going to get advice from him because he doesn't have the same tasks I do a day. He doesn't treat his employees the same way I do. We have different lives. We have different goals in our lives.
Yeah.
So it's just different. And if you think it's not, I mean, you're going to wake up to a real sad state of affairs at some point. You can do it for a while. I think women can run a patriarchal business for a while, but it will burn you out eventually. Yes,
it will. And there should be so many more women who are successful right now within their businesses and aren't, beholden, running themselves to the ground essentially, or beating themselves up for the stupidest freaking things.
Hey there, listeners. It's Katie. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Female Founders Collective. I started this collective because I know firsthand how challenging it can be to build a business from the ground up. As female founders, we're balancing so much, our dreams, our families, our sanity, and it can feel pretty lonely out there. That's why the collective is all about real connection and support. We're a community of women who are sharing what works, what doesn't, and having each other's backs. So if you're looking for a network that truly gets it, come join us at the Female Founders Collective. We meet virtually every single Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time. It's always free. It will never be a charge. This is something that I am really passionate about. Come and join us. You can register by going to katierip.com.
And so I think that 2020 just kind of ruined virtual online businesses and people getting into business. And the idea that you can just smack something on your Instagram and all of a sudden you're going to be a goddamn billionaire or a millionaire.
Or a coach.
Yeah. There's not going to be an effort behind it. You don't have to have any expertise or credentials or whatever it is. But also any business acumen or knowledge to know that you actually have to consistently invest in your business to get something in return on the back end. And there's so many people who I would wish that they were more successful, so many more women who I wish that they would be more successful, but they try one or two things, think it's running a business, and then take themselves out for 6 months or a year.
Yeah. And then call it a side hustle. And guess what? The universe is going to give you side hustle money if you continue to call your business a fucking side hustle.
Yeah.
It's not a side hustle. It's a fucking business. Treat it like one. And for some reason, all of these women at one point or another say, I can start a business on $0 or a credit card. The fuck you can. Like, you should not be spending your own money. No man I know spends his own money to start a business. They go to the bank, they get a $150,000 loan because $75,000 of it is going to be their salary. And instead, we have all these women starting online businesses with $0, putting a $588 website on their credit card and a $20 domain name on their credit card and making no money and then getting into $10,000 worth of debt on a 22% interest rate.
And then closing their computers at night, eating a whole bunch of things, watching Netflix, crying themselves to sleep.
Because they didn't make a 6-figure month.
Yeah. And so I'm laughing because I wrote something recently about the 7-figure days and the 8-figure months, which is like, I have so much respect for them. That's great, but that's not the business that I want to have.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not the business that most people online actually want to have.
Well, and what do you need it for? Like, also, like, our money mindset is real fucked up. We're like, 8 figures? What are you doing with 8 figures? I mean, if you're talking about like, you don't know if you can afford your kids' cleats right now, and you're talking about 8 figures, that's just a number. You don't even know what 8 figures could buy you.
That is another problem. That's a completely another problem. The disparity between like what people are thinking they're going to make, what's actually happening behind the scenes, and then not understanding why there's just like a disconnect.
Yeah, it's sort of that profit and loss statement. Like at the end of the year, I made $42,000, but I have $2,000 in my bank account. Where's all my fucking profit? Well, we have to know what our cash flow is and we have to know what our numbers are. But unfortunately, we're both 46 years old. I was raised by a financial planner and didn't know what a profit and loss statement was. I didn't know what cash flow was. I had to learn it on my own and I was too embarrassed to ask anybody. Because if I was already in business, shouldn't I fucking know this?
Yeah.
And so like it ends up being this like almost self-fulfilling prophecy of I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm telling the universe I don't know what I'm doing. And I continue not to know what I'm doing because I'm too embarrassed to ask anybody because there's too much judgment out there. This was my idea. I can't have a bad day. I mean, this like constant fucking flow of like, where do I go for any help?
Yeah.
So tell me, where do I go for help?
I was going to say, I was doing P&Ls in my 20s because during my comfortable years, I was working at a restaurant and I was managing a brewery. So
I mean, the School of Hard Knocks taught me a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. So this is essentially where I've leaned into and kind of, I call it willpower and business resilience, because I think that so many females have this boss ass person, this story that gets them here. But then they wrap themselves in now I'm an imposter in the business area and stuck and looking what everyone else is doing and they can't get their head out of their own fucking ass. So
yeah. And then they need to get yelled at by people like you and me.
In some ways, yes.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's going to tell you what really needs to be happening. We all need that. And that's essentially one of my coaches. She's like, if you don't like what I'm going to say, then why are you hiring me?
Yeah.
It's a truth.
Well, and everybody can call them, like I'm a certified coach and I went through a 13-month academy to get a coaching certification. Anybody can call themselves a coach. Anybody. If you go online right now, and there's no governing body that governs coaches. So if somebody lost 50 pounds, they can go on and call themselves a health and wellness coach. So we need to open up our eyes to that a little bit. But also, if you're looking for coaching, you need to be looking for people that are willing to ask you the questions that are going to make you fucking squirm.
You know, you're not hiring your friend.
You know, you have plenty of friends. You have plenty of friends.
You have people who are going to say nice things to you and lie to you. Like you don't need anybody else in your life who's going to lie to you.
Yeah. If you have a problem with money, I'm going to tell you have a problem with money.
Yes. And no, and I'm exactly the same way. And that's actually complete growth. When I first started my coaching business, I wasn't going to do that. I was a little scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the beauty of starting a coaching business at 46. To be honest, I'm like, hey, there's 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
My demographic is women. So I have the option of 4 billion people. Mm-hmm. I only really need like 100. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to really attract the heart-led ones I want. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that part of your business and that part of your philosophy is like the soul-led, the heart-led, the really attracting the people that are looking for you, are wanting you. Because I do think that comes from like, I'm going to have to say yes to everybody and everything when I'm first starting out or I'm, whatever that is. Tell me about how you attract those people.
There's been multiple ways that's come out. So I've had my business for about 10 years now. And there was definitely a time period where I said yes to anybody who came to the door. Learned my lesson. Was a very hard lesson.
Yeah.
And now I have my hardcore boundaries on who I let in. And so I say soulmate clients specifically because I've worked with a lot of amazing coaches and they've all taught me so much. And what I started to notice was there's like a theme. Everybody says dream clients. And I'm like, I try my hardest to not do what everybody else is doing. I don't want to be like anybody else. So I specifically say soulmate clients because for me, the people that I want to work with, I have high ticket programs. It's like, I only work with a handful of people. I want to work with people who have the same values, the same missions, the same impactful heart, the same people who care about the same things as me. And it's easier for me to work with a business when I know that there's so much purpose and heart and like they're connected to their heart. Like they're connected to their heart. That means they really know what is most important to them, right? Like those are the people that you want to work with because they energize you throughout your business. They inspire you. They help your messaging. They give you ideas for different offers. They that fuels you and leads off of your business and into your life, right? So for you, it probably makes you like a happy mom because you're working with soulmate clients.
Yeah, it makes me love Mondays. And I get to learn so much from my clients.
Yeah.
And I can collaborate with them and I can hype them up and I can be an authentic cheerleader rather than this lip service of, I guess because you're my client, I should lift you up and like share a post of yours. That is not where I stand. I'm like, oh my God, let me help you in any way I possibly can. But I always end up learning something from someone. And I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn from other people because there's always something. I don't care if you buy a $10,000 course and you think it falls flat. I guarantee you got one thing out of it. It might have been an expensive one thing, but you got one thing out of it.
Yeah. And you may have learned that you don't want to do something that way.
Yes. No matter what, you learned something.
Mm-hmm. So I always say soulmate clients. And I remember I made a post on Facebook and a gentleman that I worked at a restaurant with like 2 decades ago commented on it and said, I think you used the wrong word here. Soulmate isn't the right word for this. Soulmate is, your romantic partner. And I actually was like, no, I used the right word.
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong. That's exactly what, He said I should have used clients that are worthy of my time or something. And I was like,
barf.
First of all, if you ever want to attract a woman, don't say the word worthy.
Yes, please keep
like
that.
The word worthy, like worthy of what?
And I definitely don't want to hear it in a male voice. I'll tolerate it.
No. And I was like, I never use worthy in my vocabulary when I'm talking to anyone, especially not with like clients I want to attract in any way. And then I went on and told him about the dream clients and how for me at this point in time within my business, like all I want to do is work with women who lift me and inspire me and who when I'm in their business, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait to see them blow up. Like it just makes me so excited, right? Like,
yes.
That's all I want in my life right now because that's why we created our businesses, right?
Well, and when you have lost someone, death becomes very real. And that why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Yeah. Why are we working at jobs just to get to retirement? I don't understand that. I'm not knocking anybody that does that. That's not how I can live my life. And I think there's a lot of people that like have that sort of before loss, after loss, that it makes you really start to think about, wow, I have no idea how much time I have left here. What am I doing here?
Oh my God, completely. And this really goes on to like with the soulmate clients and that statement that you asked me about. I call it your wealthy on every level life.
Yeah.
Because to me, wealth goes beyond money. I love money. I want everyone to make it. I think when women have more, but they do amazing things with it, right? But my soulmate clients aren't just in it for the money. They're in it like knowing that it provides them more time to spend with their families and like buy their parents a home and like do different things with their kids and go out on an afternoon walk at Wednesday at 2:00 in the afternoon just because they fucking want to. Like, like that is your wealthy life. So my soulmate clients aren't just like, I want to go buy 4,000 Gucci Prada purses. They're like,
yeah, I mean, you can do that. That's cool.
But that's not the only thing.
And you better fucking know why you want 4,000 Gucci purses, right? Like if you're going to give them away, cool. I mean, I don't even care why you want them. If you want them and you're honest about wanting them and you're honest about where that comes from, that's fine. I don't care what you do with your money, but you better know what you want it for. And you better know how much you actually need, not just what the world is telling you need. I get clients all the time that are like, well, I really want to make $100,000 this year or 500 or $1 million or whatever that dollar amount is. And I'm like, for what? What does $100,000 do for you? What's $100,000 divided by 12 months? And they have no idea. They don't have any idea what $100,000 even represents in their life. And so to not know Like you have to pull out a fucking calculator and say $100,000 divided by 12. That's how much I'm making a month. Now, what am I going to do with that money every month?
I'm so sorry. I'm still completely with you, but now I'm just thinking about how beautiful would it be if we could get 4,000 Gucci purses and donate them to a women's shelter?
Yes, that's why we need to make money. So we can do shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how can we do that? I mean, I'm on board. I will find a way to make enough money to buy 2,000 of the 4,000. We can split it. We can put it at a women's shelter and they can fucking auction them off and everybody's out of the women's shelter.
Yeah.
That's why good women need to make good money.
Yeah.
This is not about guilty money. This is not about, I feel icky because of this money. It is our responsibility to make this money so we can help other people, period.
Yeah. Well, such a beautiful thought.
Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I mean, I love it. And this is like, that's what I talk about with, just that soulmate client. Like, you're my soulmate client, Katie.
Great. I'm in. Well, and I'm all about attracting and like really getting into like timing is divine. Like this year, I'm looking for a coach. And so now I found it. Right? Like now I found you, you've just like landed in my lap and here we are. And now I'm working with you, right? This is like literally the stuff that is built of connection. And I mean, we're both coaches.
Yeah.
I could have been like, well, no, you're a coach. I don't want you on my podcast because you could be my competition. Like you could be taking my clients. You're not.
Oh, hell no. No.
We're going to collaborate and get Gucci purses. Like,
yeah.
We can collaborate all day long. And guess what we get to do is we get to share all the knowledge times 2 or to the nth degree.
Yeah. I've always been like that in business. I've had multiple situations over the past decade where I've had beautiful relationships with different coaches and I've always highlighted them. And I think that that's kind of the beauty of the online space is that when you join masterminds or you build other connections through podcast interviews or collaborations, all of a sudden you always have this kind of like supportive sister that you've never met who's always cheering for you in rooms that you're not in, right? Like,
oh, it's one of my favorite thoughts is somebody is either saying your name or standing up for you, either defensively or offensively in rooms you're not in. And that is happening all the time.
Yeah.
It's happening all the time, whether you know it or not. And when you do know it, it's pretty fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm. I know it. I know it really is. And that's just the beauty of building different connections and showing up all of the time and being open.
Yes.
To it.
Yeah.
I've always had conversations with women where they're like, I don't want to reach out to somebody and start a conversation. And I'm like, you probably don't want to reach out and start a conversation because you have one objective in mind to make a sale.
Yeah. The end game. Right. And I can always tell when like somebody drops into my DMs and they're like, oh my God, I love to make this connection and blah, blah, blah. How did you get into the coaching world? And then I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Right? Like, no, delete. I just like, they could be the coolest person in the world. I don't want you to sell me your coaching. I can tell you right now, I will give you my money for your coaching skills. Yeah. And I will value that until the nth degree, but I have to have a connection with you first.
I love that. So how long have you been coaching for?
Not that long.
Since you were in diapers, asshole.
Yeah. How long have you been coaching? What do you?
Oh my God, your feed is so amazing. I'm like,
yeah. Fuck you. At the same time, I really do love social media, and I've said this a ton of times, but it is part of my job to curate my Instagram feed. Yeah. I fight against the algorithm 100 times a day. I am constantly blocking people, constantly unfollowing, constantly getting into a place where like, I want my feed to be filled with other really amazing people, travel, beauty. I don't take the bait anymore. I just am smart enough to do that.
Yeah. My Instagram following used to be like 12,000 and I just have been like slowly deleting and deleting and deleting. And so like 5 days ago, it said like you have 30 possible spam something and you can delete them if you want. And it wouldn't show me who the accounts were.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, just delete, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I go to reach out to my hairdresser who I only connect with on Instagram and I deleted her.
What?
I was like, listen, this is really awkward. Did you unfollow me? I don't care if you unfollowed me, but I have to know if I did it or you did it because I have to apologize. Like, I don't know.
I don't really know. I'm so sorry. Because if I press follow again, you're going to be like, why the fuck were you following me?
And I didn't want to be that person who's like, did you unfollow me? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. Yeah. And so I was actually just looking to reach out to one of my friends in LA and the same thing on Instagram. And I went to hit his DM and I was like, oh shit, it's not bringing it up. Did I delete him too? I'm like, but no.
Oh, good. Okay, so tell me what you got going on. Like, I know you've got a bunch of stuff and like some stuff that's coming up soon. So tell me all about that and tell me how I can get there.
So I have a 2-day visibility workshop called Amplifier, where I'm going to walk you through the willpower, resilience, and all of the magical stuff to take you from expert to authority within your industry.
Oh.
And so that is going to be happening the first week of February. It's the 5th and the 6th on a Wednesday and Thursday at 1:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Cool. We're going to put that link in the show notes. Tell me, so you say industry. Do you work with specific industries? Do you like to work with any in particular industry? Give me some examples of clients you might have.
Coaches, consultants, experts. I've worked with brick and mortars before. I don't have any brick and mortars right now, but I do have a couple of coaches and copywriters.
Oh, sure.
And all of that kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite? I mean, I know you can't really say that, but.
No, I don't really have a favorite at all.
Yeah.
I love all of my clients that I'm working with right now because I'm only saying yes to people I love.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time because I really don't work with anybody I don't want to work with. I actually don't really do anything I don't want to do anymore. So
I have been doing this for 10 years and I've done a lot of things I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot of lessons from them. I actually just had a client who I'd worked with maybe like 2 years ago who just came back to do some more stuff. And I was like, Jackie, you reach a certain point in your business where you're like, for so long, I'm looking for clients. I want this. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm only picking the clients that I'm working with.
Yeah. And double your price.
Mm-hmm.
You can take one client for every two.
Depending on the service that you're bringing. Yeah.
Yeah.
For years, I worked with people and I said, you should always raise your price. And then I realized you can say that for someone, but that doesn't mean that somebody else has that mindset where they can actually get.
Oh, so true. So true.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I always say, hey, I think you should raise your prices and let's talk about it, but only do it when you know that you're ready for it.
Yeah. Like only do it when you've got your money mindset straight.
Yeah. Right. Or like, it's that one next step where you're like, oh yeah. I can leap for it now.
Yeah.
So, and I would love to link my book as well if I could.
100%. Yes. Give me all your stuff. So you've got a line. What did you say?
It's called Amplifier.
Amplifier. Okay. Amplifier.
Yep. A 2-day visibility workshop.
Virtual, I'm assuming.
Yep. February 5th, February 6th, an hour and a half each session live where it's kind of, we're going to get into all the magical stuff.
Oh my God. I can't wait. I'm in. And then we'll definitely link your book. Will you write another book, do you think?
I have to eventually write another book because we have to write about, this has nothing to do with business.
Yeah. And how about like the process of writing a book? Because I bet that there's people out here right now, like I have a book in my head. I don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, it took me 4 years to write the book. When I first started my business, I was doing a lot of blogging. So that's why my book started off like little pieces.
Yeah. Yep.
At one point in time, a famous author who had a book kind of like him. Anyway, do you like Brene Brown?
Yeah.
She's one of the biggest reasons why I like kind of dipped into the coaching industry. She has her master's in social work, PhD in WordPress, like all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the process of writing a book, that's where we're going, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that it's much easier nowadays because there's ChatGPT and it can give you the outline. The things that people don't understand is that ChatGPT can only work for you if you know everything about you.
Yeah.
And when it comes to writing a book, you can't write a book through ChatGPT and put it on Amazon and it's not going to get published.
Yeah.
It's like none of that is going to happen.
Yeah.
It has to be written by you with your own voice, your authenticity, your own story. It's like everything within the coaching business, right? Like you're only going to succeed if it's all you.
Yeah. And I mean, even the questions or the content, whatever you have. Yes. AI is going to do a lot of that for us. sometimes you don't know what questions to ask ChatGPT. That's where coaching comes in, right? Like I know what questions to ask somebody to get under a layer that AI is never going to know.
Oh my God. I have little bots for every single one of my clients. And they're always like, your chat GPT is so different than mine. It doesn't give me the same.
Yeah.
I know what to put in it to get the results out, right?
Right.
And it's also due to experience.
Yeah. Wisdom, right? Experience and age. What does the future hold for you? What do you think? Like, you're 46, so 50's on the horizon, 60's on the horizon. What does that look like for you?
So there's a lot of things going on. I am a guest expert in one of my girlfriend Karen's biohacking mastermind, and she's in France. So I love this great connection that she's had. And that is really a lot about who I am. Like, I believe that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you are not healthy, or if you're not treating your body, or if your mindset is all out of whack outside of your business, that shit's going to be impacting how you fucking show up in your business.
Nobody likes to hear this, by the way.
Of course
they do not love to hear that. I have heard that before a number of times. Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I'm like, that's not totally true. The fuck it isn't. I just don't like it.
Totally is. People do not understand. If you are one person online and you're a completely different person offline, the resistance that shows up when you're that person online is so fucking obvious, and it's keeping you from everything. It's making everything so much fucking harder.
Yeah. So much harder.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with that. I'm super excited about that. She officially launches it in February. And I know that there's got to be a retreat on the horizon. I have been in Sarasota for 6 months. And I'm still kind of deciding if I'm going to end up going back to California.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of that in me, just kind of sitting with where I am.
Yeah. Have you done retreats?
I have done tons of virtual retreats. I have yet to do my first in-person retreat. And so
I will be your first guest. Really. I love retreat. I love going on retreats. I decided I'm going to do a retreat this year. I just that's the thing I'm going to do. I don't know what it looks like. It's going to be in October somewhere in the Southwest, but that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's enough.
So are you thinking kind of in this area, Southwest San Diego?
Southwest
out of the
USA.
Country.
Nope. Southwest USA. Somewhere in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, somewhere out there. Yeah. I need the warmth. I'm in Wisconsin. It's fucking shitty here right now.
The first time I drove cross country, I've drove cross country 10 times by now. The first time I drove cross country and I went through New Mexico, the clouds in New Mexico, it was kind of like the first guy I ever fell in love with. I fell in love with the clouds because they were so big and blue and beautiful.
I love the sky so much. I don't know why, but New Mexico has always been on my list of places to visit. So I think it's going to be somewhere over there. And did you know that there's a city called Truth or Consequences in New Mexico?
No.
That's where I want to do my retreat.
Really look into it though, because I have stayed in some skeevy hotels. Like I said, I've drove across the country so many times now. I have stayed,
yeah, I don't think it's the nicest place, but I really do think it's an Instagram moment in front of the sign.
In the sign.
Yeah,
and then there's some beautiful
and then we'll go to the next town.
There's a beautiful Airbnb somewhere.
Somewhere in Truth or Consequences. Oh, Melissa, this has been so great. On so many levels, I love to connect with people like this. And I think that we connected through Threads. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had never really used Threads. And I had run out of guests for my podcast. And I tried to, Chanley's going to hear this, but I tried to cancel my producer. And I was like, hey, I need to take a break. I don't have anybody. Can we take a break? And bless her heart, because she is an amazing business owner. She was like, yeah, sure, we can take a break, except I need a 30-day notice. And I was like, fuck. So then I was like, okay, well, I got to pay her anyway. How can I find more guests? So that was the thread. I just was like, hey, I've never used Threads. It seems like my feed on Threads is a whole bunch of women, right? Really high energy, high vibe. I mean, I must have curated it at some point to that, but that algorithm actually works if you ask me. Yeah. And I just put it out there and I got 70 applications and I was like, fuck yes. But like
now you're not going on vacation.
Yes. But the people that I have met already through this is just my soulmates, right? Like everybody I just hired a retreat person from a podcast guest. I have like connected other people to the guests. Like, oh, my friend, this person in my network could totally use your service.
Yeah.
Because they all end up being small business owners of some sort, where I can like, all of a sudden I'm building this amazing network of like, oh, you need this person? Guess who I have for you from a simple Threads post. Now I've hired a coach, right? Like, I don't like, how did this happen? This is amazing.
I love it.
I just think this world is very fascinating, and I have a lot of faith in the universe, and she likes to hold my hand and tiptoe through the tulips. So I think the more energy and the more high vibe we can put into each other, it just always comes back in spades.
It so does. I have never heard that line, tiptoe through the tulips, and I love it.
Oh, really? I don't even know what
That'd
that's
be a Wisconsin thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a Wisconsin thing because we have a ton of tulips. I don't know where that comes from, but tiptoe through the tulips is always
I love it.
It's a thing.
Cute.
Yeah. Okay, so where can people find you? We're going to definitely put your stuff in the show notes, but where can people find you if you want them to find you?
Yep. So I will send you my Instagram. You can come over and meet me on there. And then we're going to send the link for Amplifier and my book. And my website is melissafino.com. I have a whole bunch of freebies on there. There's conversions with less bullshit.
Oh, I love that.
Words that will help you convert more. Lots of fun stuff. Oh, I have 13 different wealth meditations that are on there, which are really delicious to listen to.
Oh, fun. Okay, well, we will definitely put that in there. I really, really appreciate you coming on. This was such a lovely introduction to you. And maybe in my business book club, we'll read Little Miss Perfect.
I love it. Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of living authentically with me. Before you go, don't forget to connect with me on Instagram. Shoot me a message at Katie Rip. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode and connect with you further. And remember, if you want more details on today's episode, or just want to explore more about designing your life unapologetically, head on over to my website at katierip.com. There, you'll find all the juicy details and resources you need to keep the inspiration flowing. Lastly, if you'd like to join me on the show, whether it's to tell about your experience of designing your own life, to share your expertise, or if you'd like to participate in lifestyle coaching live on air, don't hesitate to reach out. Your story could inspire countless others on their own path to living authentically. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep living boldly, designing your life, and remember, #actually I can.